From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. Starting off overseas with new details about the historic peace plan in the Middle East that includes the planned release of hostages in Gaza and promises of more humanitarian aid for Palestinians.
As part of the agreement, Israel has begun pulling back its troops to an agreed-upon line in Gaza. Once that's complete, Hamas will have 72 hours to release the 20 living hostages and the remains of 28 others.
We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday.
The president's 20-point plan has called for Hamas to disarm and for Gaza to be governed by an apolitical Palestinian committee overseen by an international board of peace with Trump as its chairman. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
Now back home, where Canada Post workers are trying a new approach to resolve their long-running labor dispute.
The Canadian Union of Postal Workers says instead of a countrywide strike, they will begin rotating strikes starting Saturday morning. The move is being made with the intent of getting the mail and parcels moving once again, and comes after the union met with the federal minister responsible for Canada Post. The two sides have been far apart on contract talks for some time now, and recent proposed changes to the Postal Service's mandate overhauling its operations was seen by the union as a step in the wrong direction. Diana Musina, The Canadian Press.
Statistics Canada is set to release the latest jobs data this morning.
Economists expect Canadian employers added 5,000 jobs last month, rebounding somewhat from a loss of roughly 66,000 positions in August. They expect the unemployment rate ticked up to 7.2%. However, TD senior economist Andrew Hensick cautions against reading too much into the headline numbers. He warns that the recent slowdown in population growth will likely skew labor data, and observers would be better off looking at the unemployment rate for a gauge of how the labor market is holding up as economic growth sputters. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press.
Over to Norway now, where opposition activist Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela has been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. A former opposition presidential candidate, Machado is being described as, quote, a key unifying figure in a political opposition that was once deeply divided, an opposition that found common ground in the demand for free elections and representative government. And finally, a documentary on the life of late comedian John Candy called John Candy, I Like Me, is out today. Candy's daughter, Jennifer Candy Sullivan, describes what it was like to sift through old footage of her father.
For me to rewatch and watch new interviews I enjoyed a lot of them because they were fun, but then some of them I was like, man, this is really uncomfortable. And he had to endure a lot in his business. The
interviews include Catherine O'Hara, Martin Short, and Eugene Levy. The documentary streams on Prime Video. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Toronto Blue Jays will hit the field Sunday night for Game 1 of the ALCS at Rogers Centre, 8:03 first pitch. Still to be determined is their opponent, Detroit or Seattle. Well, the Tigers and Mariners will work that out between themselves in Game 5 later tonight. Meanwhile, Los Angeles Dodgers, last year's champs, needed 11 innings to beat the Philadelphia Phillies 2-1 and win their best-of-5 National League Division Series 3-1. And still to be decided in the National League, Milwaukee Brewers versus the Chicago Cubs. That game goes later tonight as well. Now over to the NHL, where the Vancouver Canucks opened their season with a 5-1 victory over the visiting Calgary Flames. The Montreal Canadiens beat the Detroit Red Wings by the same score, 5-1. Elsewhere, the Ottawa Senators topped the Lightning 5-4, while the Dallas Stars posted a 5-4 victory over the Winnipeg Jets. And finally, an NFL update, the New York Giants defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 34-17. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.